Welcome back. Before we move on to our next step, I just want to walk you back through the sales funnel just so you guys get the idea of it. Now, remember, I'm not expecting you to know everything by any means because you're going through this for the very first time. The key here is to understand the thinking or the thought process that goes along with the lean startup model. So just to review so you guys can kind of see where things should be at or at least getting, I'm going to walk you through the sales funnel one more time. Now, I'm going to use my example, which I want to make sure is clear in the beginning here. I selected the problem around isolation and was thinking that I would develop an app and website for users to connect through my platform, whether it be event, chatting, video, emailing, some way to feel some kind of connection. So here is kind of my process for how I would think about going about getting this off the ground. Now remember, whenever you're starting something new, you can probably relate this to your own life when you started a new sport, a new activity, is you weren't to the point you are now overnight. And I'll say that again. You weren't to the point that you are now overnight. It took baby steps and practice and making mistakes to get where you are now, whether that's your sport or an activity that you feel pretty confident or good at. So I'm just going to walk you through the same process as it relates to a business. So in the beginning of our sales funnel, we're being asked to create awareness among now users. And now users are those people who would be our champions, almost like our parents in many ways, that they, in their eyes, we can do no wrong. Okay, so they're the people that are going to be there to help you, to provide feedback, to kind of get this idea out of your head and becoming a reality. So in my case, I thought, what's the easiest way to do that? Well, to jumpstart awareness for this, I would just select local apartments or condo buildings and offer a demo for how it works. So again, in many of these buildings, there's a common space that you could put out signage, get people to come to, and then maybe offer incentives for them to download and play around with your app. It could be something as simple as just, hey, do you want to eat free food tonight? Come to our demo about this app. And it would probably work for you. Assumptions are easy. You can kind of walk through that people would feel comfortable coming to an event. They'd feel, they wouldn't feel obligated to have to download our app, but we are hoping they do. And then the pass-fail metric would be to look at the numbers of people that attended the events as well as those that downloaded our app. So having some kind of benchmark to say, hey, after our first demo, we're hoping that 25% of the people or 50% of the people download it. And then you could offer some kind of incentives for those that download our app at our next event, which will be sometime next week. Just come back in. Your entrance ticket is showing us that you've downloaded the app, and then you can get some more free food and we can ask you questions about how things are going. Okay, real simple to get people started. Obviously, as you're trying to get your idea to go further, now you have to identify the first users. Okay, this is kind of moving beyond that community of your initial champion or your parent type users, people that want to help you, to people that don't know you. Okay, so in this case, we would kind of take our model that I mentioned, that would be offering free food, going to a condo or apartment building and doing more demos. Okay, just grow what we know. And assumptions that people are still feeling this sense of isolation because that's what our product's hoping to address. We're assuming that the condos and the apartments we pick would have a similar interest or response. And again, we're assuming that all these buildings have a common space as well. At this point, pass or fail metric would be looking at our now users, set a benchmark of what percentage each week we hope to grow by, and then use some of our tools, like our analytical tools, that you can see whether people are downloading or visiting our website. As we go a little further, people are going to want to actually see the value of why they should be interested in buying this. And this is where you start to seek out outside media to try to build your community through adoption of your product or service. And to do so, usually it's easy to build like a testimonial or success story. Okay, and those success stories is what we'd be looking to build to add value. So this we would take like our power users or the people that are really enjoying our app, and we'd create little stories that can be pushed out via social media, or even if we get big enough and get enough attention, we could have it on news channels and then record all those pieces to be reused as different things in future marketing efforts. Okay. You can kind of see, I'm not going to keep going through each step by step, but you can read through this or pause the video to see what I wrote. Again, this is just a first run at this to get you thinking about all the things that would go into getting a product out of your head and building an audience that wants to use it. There's eventually a step that says convert to purchase, and it says this is the end goal. Customers who hear about your product need to actually pay for it. So how do you do that? If you look at most apps, most streaming sites, usually what they do is they offer a free trial. So again, why? It helps you build your market share. A lot of times people don't cancel it either, so you continue to get paid. We would end that free trial after 30 days, and people would have to either cancel or their card would be charged, basically. It says how will you continue to build value once they've paid? Obviously, think about this like any product or service that you actually use and have used for a number of years. You'll see that what it was when you bought it isn't what it necessarily is today. Usually they offer more features, make it better, and what this is asking you is how do you do that? So if I were doing this for my isolation app, I would probably offer like a premium level where that gives them a few more features or goes beyond their local address. Again, you can see the assumptions and then the metrics for what I could measure to see if I was on the right track. In this last step, which is probably the hardest step, this is where it kind of says, okay, you set all these things up above. How are you actually going to do them? And then who's going to do them? And I think the point of this is to be able to say, as you start to generate, oh yeah, I said I would create this website, create this demo at an apartment, I do this, I do that. Can you actually manage that? Because I think what should be clear at this point is, wow, I might need a team of people. So you can start aligning, hey, maybe I should hire somebody that does marketing because a lot of this is marketing stuff. Or maybe I need to hire a developer because they're going to have to build a website and help me with that. So you should start to see who you need on a team. This is just a rough estimate, just to give you an idea. When generally, if you're trying to build an app, apps generally will cost anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000. Again, you can probably do that cheaper if you really knew what was going on, but not much. Okay, so where's that money going to come from? We haven't talked much about the money side of things, but obviously we'll talk a little bit later on skin in the game. Is you need to have some of your own money into things because investors won't believe in you if you're not putting any of your own money into something. So I said I'd need $50,000 just to start as a ballpark number. Whether or not we need all that or we'd run out of money, who knows, but we need something there. Using kind of what you set up here, you need to put a timeline to that. When's it going to happen? Easiest way I would say to do this is just break it down by month. At this point, it could be even quarters, like in the first quarter of the year, June through August, we're going to do this. In the second quarter, September through December, we're going to do this. Whatever it might be, you just break it down. And then this asks for kind of when are things going to actually be done. So if I was to build the wireframe, which is just the outline of the app, and then have somebody put it together, I'd say spend the month of June doing that. Spend the month of July testing it, and then so on and so forth. Okay, so that's how you kind of finish up the sales funnel of getting customers in just through interest and then eventually buying your product. Now we'll talk more about some of the more detailed things of that once we get into the real deal, but this is again just to show you the lean startup process. Once you're done, you can go ahead and hit save and continue.